Hello everyone, and welcome to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. My name is ATR, and today we're gonna have ourselves a 1v1 on Kholodny Ferma again. Our heroes today are going to be Jove, playing as the US forces in the blue. And his opponent is going to be HOI-PauL.a.D, playing as the austere or Wehrmacht faction in the red. So this is from the WPC series. Should be a good game. Two awesome players. I'm sure there are better games out there because a lot of them have been uploaded. But I don't really have the time to cast or go through all of them, and pretty short for time, as you could probably tell due to the lack of videos. So I picked this one, and there you go. Hopefully it's a good one. Nope. Let's take a quick look at what's going on. For Jove, we see him building rifles, and I'm going to assume after that more rifles. And for Paul, we see him getting an MG42 and a Grand Squad. Grand Squad already out on the field, MG42 following up after that. So tier 1 going down right off the bat pretty quickly, a little bit further up to the north. I do like this positioning a little bit better than having it be placed over here. We see this a little bit more often, like around this area, because up here you can utilize this light cover to fight off incursions against this point and still be in range to reinforce. So it's a little bit of a better spot because over here you kind of don't have enough range, but you know, to each his own, I suppose. Center map, we hear some engagements as rifles and Grens duke it out a little bit. MG42 up in the north, taking some shots flying at a rifle squad up in that northern point. Not far north, but you know, the northish. Getting it suppressed, getting it pinned down and forcing it to retreat. Also allowing the Pio squad to lay down some wire across the gap here, closing it off and forcing Paul to have to move. I mean, not Paul, Jove be forced to move along the side. I'm gonna be slightly confused as far as, you know, players and names, because again, good old Kholodny Ferma doing that nice positioning where it gives me the player on the left being Jove, the US forces being the one that spawns on the right, and Paul spawning on the left. So I would do the whole switching the map around in this direction so that, you know, we're looking in the right angles, but people seem to get sick of looking at it like that, so I won't. So anyway, small skirmishes here or there, nothing too major. We see Jove going for a mortar, coming into play rather quickly. Well, not rather quickly, obviously. He did get 3 rifles to start with, but you know, it's now coming out onto the field. For Paul, though, we see him getting only 2 Grand Squads in total, and then following it up with a second MG. So going to be trying to lock down territory a little bit more aggressively here. Grand Squad up in the north, trying to hold the line here in the heavy cover. However, rifles popping themselves inside the shack with the second rifle squad coming up behind them. And we even see Jove target firing the wire that was not actually built, which allows it to be shot and destroyed with bullets. The force field was not up. Rifles up in the north, disconnecting the resources for Mr. See, I get confused because I look in this direction. I'm going to say, oh, it's Joe, but no, it's not Joe, it's Paul. Damn it. Stupid game. And we hear the telltale sign of the mortar shots flying as Job is just laying into the church. Church taking some little bit of damage. The MG42 squad still alive, all intact, able to stay on the field. Grand Squad a little bit further south, trying to hold up, but the mortar lands right on top of them, eliminating one of its members and forcing a quick retreat. MG42 for Paul, going to be moving down south, as we see rear echelons and rifles moving along as they please. MG42 up north, trying to cover the point here. Rifle squad inside the shack, forcing the retreat of the Grens. And we do see a third Grand Squad now on the field for Paul to bring up on the number of units. So for Job, I'm going to assume he's teching. Yep, he's getting himself that captain. Should be hitting the field just about now. And soon after that, I'm going to assume that we're going to be seeing a Stewart, considering the tech. But we'll see. Paul has selected his Doctrine, and that is the Mobile Defense Doctrine. So we're going to be seeing some Pumas and the command tank later on, I can only assume. And interestingly enough, we see Job going for a second mortar to start with. So pretty cool. No kills so far as on the mortars, however, they are denying those MGs the ability to just sit still and guard territory as they keep getting bombarded. And of course, dislodging units from inside of houses as they tend to do in Kholodny Ferma. So the captain is on the field. We see also right away a purchasing of the bazooka. Just, I would assume Jove anticipating or expecting at this stage of the game maybe a tier 2 and a 2-2-2 coming into play, but so far we don't see anything for Paul. Down south, rear echelon squad seemingly managing to win against a grand squad. So Paul forced to retreat. And we see the rifles popping into the church. Double mortars now up in the north. And we see a rifle squad moving up into the cutoff point to disconnect that fuel for Paul. This is so fucking difficult. It just always makes me like stop and think like, yes, am I actually saying the right name? Because, you know, of the flipped colors. So the mortar shots flying seems to be targeting nearby the house, seemingly hitting the house a little bit more, but almost on point as they tend to almost be hitting the MG42. Grand squad's moving up, trying to force the engagement here against the rifles. The rifles just back off and hide themselves inside the house, with the mortars just raining in death and destruction from above. We see Jove getting himself that steward as we expected him to do. And the mortars just laying into the forces of Paul. Still no kill so far, but they have been doing damage, so, you know. There we go, finally gets himself a kill. I see the flamethrowers going off into the house, doing quite a bit of damage to the men inside. However, the the PauL.A.D squad is quickly forced to retreat as the mortars are just mortaring. Grand squad on the other side of the house, though, does manage to inflict a lot of damage there to the rifle squad, bringing it down to 2 men after it got flamed. But they themselves are quickly forced to retreat as the mortars are still there in position and just able to pepper them. MG42 moving up, going to be trying to engage the mortars. Grand squad nearby is also going to be engaging, probably forcing those mortars to move out of the way. The steward is on the field, moving up to the north. And we see the shots of the mortar, raining down on that MG. MG taking some nasty shots, down to 1 man, has to retreat. There are some enemies nearby along its retreat path, but nothing to intercept. This rear echelon squad is otherwise engaged with the Grens, so it'll make it out of there without any problems. Gren squad also retreating from the north as it can't really do much against the steward. And we see the captain and rifles moving along up in the north with it as well. So again, we just hear the mortars for Jove just continuously firing. 3 kills on one of it, 1 kill on the other. Again, not a lot of damage, but a lot. I mean, not a lot of kills, but a lot of damage and control of territory. So working out pretty well for now for Jove. And up in the north, we saw that MG quickly forced to retreat. Captain trying to close the distance and maybe catch the MG. Manages to eliminate a 2nd man, or a 3rd man, I suppose. 1 man left on the squad, trying to retreat, making it out of there. Looks like it's barely going to make it out of there as the other MG42 sets itself up. Quickly forces the retreat of the captain, and even a grand squad is thrown in the mix to try and add a little bit of extra damage. But the captain is fine, should be fine, and will be okay. Mortar back on the field for Jove. I'm not mortar, medic. Why did I say mortar? The medic ambulance on the field for Jove, so everybody should be able to heal up and go out at full strength. Well, back at base for Paul, we also have that med bunker. I think he's going to be moving out. Tier 2 has gone down. We see a mortar getting built, which, I mean, that's tier 1, so not sure what he's aiming at. He was trying to build himself a pack gun, but then we saw Paul cancel it. So we'll see what his plan is. I mean, a 2-2-2 can still do damage to a steward, but more often than not, it'll lose if it goes on a one-on-one. But if it manages to get itself snared and out of position, it could potentially pick up and lay into it from behind. Maybe even get a kill, especially if he starts building more 2-2-2s. But for now, that tier 2 is right there and not doing anything for Paul. So we'll see what his plan is. He's got 500 manpower, so trying something. Mortars barraging seemingly into nothing, just into popular cover locations, trying to make sure that no MGs are set up or units are taking the cover to make it a little bit more difficult. Captain up in the north moving up, getting a little bit of damage in on those squads, but forcing them to retreat, while the steward up in the north is trying to flank him and get some good shots in there. Center map, rear echelon squad trying to go for that center point, manages to decap it, but nothing else really happens. And we see a Gren squad got killed up in the north here, seemingly to the mortars, and the combination with the steward. Who it was? Probably the mortars, but either way, we see it there, so it's no need to catch it when in the moment that it happened. Take a drink here. I do apologize if I sound a little bit less energetic than I should. I am quite tired today, but I'm gonna try and truck on through to this one. Anyways, rifle squad up in the center, pushing forward, getting on top of the mortar that Paul has brought onto the field to try and fight against Jove. However, his mortars seem to be winning, and the rifle squad with the bars manages to catch a retreating MG, gets it killed off, and retreats with the weapon perhaps. Oh, never mind. Paul making him pay for his transgressions. Nails him with a rifle grenade, eliminates most of the members, and just picks off the remainder with his units. And then gets that MG42 back with the pile squad. So that was a little bit of a loss there in manpower for Jove, but nothing too significant, so, you know, he didn't lose his rifle squad, so that's fine, you know. MG42 in the center of that munitions, trying to cap it. Seemingly getting some shots there on the mortar. Mortar squad forced to retreat, leaving a lone mortar on the field right now for Jove. Paul does have his mortar out onto the field, so could potentially try some counter sniping. And up in the far north, we see some Grens just capping around. So again, Paul did go for his tier 2, but hasn't actually built anything from that. I mean, it's fine that he canceled the pack gun. He didn't actually need it. Really? I mean, the steward is on the field, so it would be okay to have it. You know, it wouldn't be useless. Which is defend, you know, probably the center with it. But he hasn't done anything with it, and I was assuming that exactly what's happening right now, that he was, instead of getting the pack gun, he was going to go for the Puma, but he had to get those 5 command points and was kind of far away from that, so it took him a while to be able to do that. But I suppose he could actually get 2 and try and hunt it that way. So the Puma up in the north, going to be moving forward. We do have the steward here and the captain with a bazooka, so Puma needs to be a little bit careful of that situation. Puma moves back and forth. Now going to be crushing that fence probably. Getting a shot there on that steward. Steward realizing its bad positioning, gets itself snared. Shots continue to fly. The captain is nearby, trying to do what it can here with its bazookas. However, the Puma, oh, that is unfortunate there for Paul. He manages to eliminate the steward. However, the vehicle itself is left on the field. The crew has been killed, but the vehicle is potentially recoverable. The Pumas for Paul, though, getting themselves caught in each other up in the north. One with the damaged engine and all, trying to move its way back out of the way. There we go. Paul deciding, yep, I'm not going to leave you a chance to get that back. Takes a nice shot there at distance. Nails the carcass, and down goes the steward. So a good exchange there for Paul. He manages to keep his Puma. Which means, yeah, which means good. Mortars, again in the center, we hear him just bombarding everything at will. The mortar for Paul just moving all over the place. MG42s, Grens, everybody seems to be exposed here. Grand Squad just taking some splash damage there to the mortars of Jove. And the rifles up in the north retreating, as well, they don't really have a lot they can do. Rifle squad up in the north, trying to capture that victory point. No dice there, as the Puma is nearby and harassive. We see Grens moving up to the north. There is a 2-man Gren squad, though, so it can get focused down. These rifles do have bars, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage. However, a nice rifle grenade there from Paul. Trying to nail them, however, it does get dodged, and that causes Paul to lose one of his Gren squads. Bit of an overextension there, as the second rifle squad come up from the side and manages to flank them and shoot them on the retreat. Captain and rear echelon squad in the center, trying to go for those Grens. Victory points are 450 for Jove, 258 for Paul. Gren squad moving to the right, trying to go for that cutoff point, but now realizing that it's spotted and getting shot on, so moves out of the way. Well, retreats, really, is what I'm trying to say. The rifles up in the far north did manage to capture that point, so Jove continues to put the bleed on Paul. Puma moving down south. The other Puma is about to get repaired, or should be already repaired. Where is it? There we go, it's in the center. Taking some shots here, destroying the cover in the center, forcing that rear echelon squad to retreat. And we do have an AT gun on the field for Jove, deciding that he does want to have something to fight them with. Up in the north right now, covering that victory point. One of the MG42s for Paul has been cleared. He got himself a third one, apparently. While that one is still left on the field, so he now has 3 MG42s in total. Again, not exactly the best choice there, all things considered. Puma for Paul, doing a rush into the base, trying to do something. Not exactly sure what it was trying to do. I mean, it managed to kill off the ambulance. However, the medics did pop out, so they'll still be able to heal up friendly troops. And we see the rear echelons for Jove picking up some bazookas, eliminating the Puma. And down it goes for Paul. There wasn't really any other objectives, so again, not sure what the plan there was. We now see a Sherman coming into play for Jove. So we hear a rifle squad down south retreating to the Puma. And we have 8 and 11 kills so far on those mortars. Doing quite a bit of work. Hitting friendly units as well, so, you know, good job, good job. And we see Jove saying, fuck it, and I'm just going to utilize my medics to go cap that center point. You know, Geneva Convention and such would not allow them to shoot on us, so we should be okay. Major is on the field, of course, for Jove, as we saw the Sherman. Sherman managing to catch and kill off the second Puma, which puts Paul in a bit of a predicament. Again, he doesn't have a pack gun since he never built it, so it's kind of tough to do much. Medics retreating from the center. Looks like they did manage to decap that center point, which is nice for Jove, allowing the bleed to increase for a little while. However, the southern point has been removed as well, so that that's only a 1 point per tick. Northern point is trying to get taken by that MG42, while the center point is left unattended. Gren squad moving in for Paul to try and take it as well. And we see the Sherman rushing up to the north, going to be trying to force off whatever is up there in the north.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
There we go. Get myself into a better sitting position. Yeah, Sherman up in the north. MG42, well, shooting back, but it's not going to really do much. We hear rifles in the center pushing forward. These rifles have a flamethrower equipped, which is amazing. Is it a flamethrower? Should be a flamethrower, right? I see the Sippo there, so they kind of have to stop. Yep, there it goes. Flamethrower burst going off. MG42 forced to retreat. Pioneer squad right behind the rifles. We see MG42 at the front of the base, managing to close them off and force a retreat. Center map, rear echelon squad going for that point. getting mortared in every direction.
Opponents are seizing a sector.
And we have another Puma on the field for Paul. Now going to be trying to fight the Sherman. Sherman doing well against it. Not suffering too much. The main gun and rifles nearby are available for support with an AT gun there, just in case. Rear echelons in the center, managing to cap that point. That's a triple cap going for Jove against Paul. Paul down to 220 points. This is going to be getting himself a 200-point lead, which is very nice to have in any scenario, but especially in a tournament scenario. And we hear the mortars just continuing to pepper the battlefield. 10 and 12 kills, respectively, on those squads. So doing quite well. Now the Sherman has been set to attack vehicles only, which is unfortunate that it behaves that way in that sense, because the gunner on top doesn't shoot at infantry, even though that's kind of what it's supposed to do. If you tell it to only attack vehicles, I can't really see a scenario where you wouldn't want the MG to actually shoot. So yeah, it's kind of that it works like that. We see the Major calling in a rapid barrage against Paul's MG. The MG manages to get a pin down on the Major. The rapid barrage just managing to miss everything completely, like being the suckiest barrage of all barrages. There we go, finally gets a hit, eliminating 3 of the members, but the squad stays alive. Major is forced to retreat though, so, you know, a little bit too late on that response. And the rifles up north did manage to, oh, very nice maneuver there by Jove. Manages to pick up the kill on a Grand Squad with a nicely placed grenade after a smoke grenade, removing line of sight. And the MG was set up in the north, but it manages to pick up a couple kills on the rifles and forces it to retreat. Puma on the field for Paul, she's moving around. There is a second Puma nearby. 2 Pumas against the Sherman is a decent engagement. So again, I understand that he wasn't getting pack guns because of the Pumas, but, you know, it's a risky move to do, I suppose. So the Grand Squad trying to push forward against these rifles. The rifles pretty hardy, able to withstand quite a bit of damage. Down to 1 man, forced to retreat. The AT gun moving forward to try to support, but with no infantry in front of it, it needs to back off. The mortars are still there. We have 13 kills in one, 10 in the other. Veteran C3 acquired on this one, which accuracy and rate of fire, and then we got improve max range, which is nice. Smoke popped in the center as the rifle squad is almost taken out there. Almost gets nailed by a stray mortar shot, but it manages to retreat and get out of there, and that was a flamethrower equipped rifle squad, which would have been a bad loss. Grand Squad up in the north trying to fight against the Major. Runs itself into the Sherman. The Sherman is going to be getting Fausted here. However, no, the Grens are eliminated before they're able to get their Faust off. One of the Pumas goes down. Second Puma now in bad shape, trying to move down south, but it does get its main gun destroyed. Shots flying in all direction. Out of control goes the Puma, and Paul has lost almost everything. Oof, that was a bad engagement for him. Does have some Grens and MGs pushing into the center, forcing everybody back, but just look at that army, well, composition over here and over there, but army value 26 versus 64. Quite a discrepancy there, and Jove is in excellent shape. On top of that, he has way over 200 points in lead, so, you know. Yeah, that's game for Paul. We'll see what he ends up trying to do after this, but I don't see any way for him to come back. Let's call in some Ostrupen reserves to bolster his numbers and get a little bit higher up there. Bringing up to 40, but, you know, it's not too much. MG42 up in the north forces the retreat of the captain, but the point is still in the possession for Jove. Center point, that MG42 trying to cover, but rear echelon squad coming up on the side, forcing the MG42 to pack up and move out of the way. There is still a mortar on the field for Paul, so he's going to try his best, but the mortars for Jove are moving back out and will be starting the bombardment again. We see another smoke grenade getting popped in front of the MG42. Breaking line of sight there on that rifle squad. The medics and the Major getting right on top of that MG. And we see Jove selecting his Doctrine, that is the heavy cavalry company, calling in a Pershing to finish off the match. I am certain, though, that as soon as Paul sees the Pershing, he's going to be calling it quits. Center map there, MG42 trying to take the point there for Paul. Manages to get itself torn apart, but barely makes it out of there with one member left. The mortar has been cleared out in the back, so no indirect cover. MG42 a little bit further up north, trying to do what they can, but we do see the Pershing down south running into some Ostrupen, shots flying, doing quite a bit of damage. Northern Point major retreating as the Grens hold their ground. The Ostrupen down south trying to retreat, but get themselves killed.
We have lost a squad.
As everybody is retreating back to base right now for Paul. GG gets thrown in, GG in return, and that is game. Very nice. Not a long game, but very nicely played. And yeah, Jove just essentially dominated for the entire match, and these mortars were MVPs and causing quite a lot of problems there for Paul. Just look at that, 13 kills in one, 18 kills in the other. A lot of veterancy, meaning a lot of damage spread out. So yeah, anyways guys, I do hope you enjoyed the game. If you have any positive or negative remarks, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you have any replays you want to send me, go ahead and send them to the email that I will put in the description. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.